Hey there, hope you're doing well. My name is Wells Westmoreland. Today, I'm going to walk through how my agency Aperture helped a medical cannabis brand grow from just 8K a month in organic revenue to over 40K a month in just 10 months. And before we get into it, here's a look at the results. You can see here when we started, around 8K, and 10 months later, not even a year later, we're at 40K. So more than a 4X improvement, actually a 5X improvement. So a really good transformation for this brand. They went from having kind of a stagnant and declining organic search revenue channel to having a growing and abundant one that's now netting them multiple six figures every single year. So getting right into it, in the cannabis space and just in general, there's so much technical jargon associated with SEO that it's easy to forget that it's just a marketing channel, right? It's just like paid advertising, or it's just like a billboard, even. Like, it's just another marketing channel, right? And so, like any marketing channel, SEO works the best when you align your content strategy, your SEO strategy, to how your potential customers make buying decisions, right? So just as we put a billboard by the side of the road before an exit, right? They're kind of getting hungry. They're on the highway. Put the billboard there to try to get them off the road and get into a restaurant. Same thing applies to SEO. We're just trying to take actions that kind of meet our customer where they're at in their buying journey. And so it was this underlying philosophy that we used to help our client 5x their e-commerce revenue in less than a year. So instead of building pages based on keyword volume alone, we identified the key moments that our client wanted to be visible to their potential customer, their ICP. And then we determined what content we needed to build in order to meet the search intent at that stage, right? So with SEO, if you can meet the search intent behind a certain query, you can rank. And so it's all about finding the appropriate queries and then building the content that meets the search intent. And in that way, we can get visible to our ICP, to our potential customer, at every single moment that actually matters. And we call this approach ICP SEO. It's Ideal Customer Profile SEO. And it has four main steps. Number one, identify your ICP. So in this case, for medical cannabis, it's somebody who's looking to buy these products online, somebody who's using it either for a disease or a condition, or somebody who's using it for the typical things like discomfort or sleep, but they want something a bit stronger than regular THC blends that you might get at a dispensary or regular flower. That's kind of our ICP. Number two, identifying when we want to get in front of them. So all the stages that actually matter in that person's buyer journey, and that way our client and our company will be visible at each stage. And then number three, identify what they're searching for each moment, right? So okay, here's the entire buying journey, moment 1 through 5. All right, what types of queries are they typing into Google at each of those stages, right? And reverse engineering in that way. And then number 4, determining and building the exact page that we need to rank for these searches, right? So basically, the ICP SEO approach is all about kind of identifying the complete A to Z framework for what can we do on our site to get in front of our potential customers and to induce a purchase. And so here's what we got for our client. Let me move myself up here. Hold on. How can I get myself? 1 second. All right. Here we go. All right. So hopefully you can see this okay. So here are the ICP moments down here on the left. Here are some example keywords of what they're looking for. And then over here on the right, here is the best page type. And it's pretty simple here. All we did was we looked at these keywords in Google and we determined what types of content was currently winning. And of course, over time, we're adjusting the content strategy as the search intent shifts. But here's kind of a layout of the 5, or actually 6 key ICP moments that we targeted, and also the associated keywords and page types. All right. And then right down here. So with that being said, we got right into execution. The first thing we did was technical SEO. So content and authority building, content development and building authority are the drivers of SEO results, of revenue, right? But before you get busy with that, you want to make sure you're building on a foundation of steel not a sand foundation, right? And that's why we start every campaign by addressing the technical issues that hold back, our client's site, right? Things that prevent it from getting, indexed properly and from providing the best user experience. So we didn't spend weeks on an extended audit fixing low impact issues. Many agencies book off an entire month of the strategy just to fix technical SEO issues. It's a waste of time. Okay. Instead, we focused on removing the constraints preventing important pages from being crawled, indexed, and ranked effectively. Okay. And these are the technical SEO issues that have an outsized impact on your performance. And also, they are relatively straightforward to implement and fix. And so some key things that we fixed were broken redirects. They had a number of redirects in place, but the page being redirected to was broken. We fixed that. We also removed some low quality blog content. They had about 40 blog posts on their site. All of them were thin, or most of them were thin. And so we deleted those. And we also no indexed some thin pages. WordPress has a few types of pages that it creates for e-commerce stores by default that aren't very useful. So we went ahead and removed those. And ultimately, especially with these last 2 points right here, what this does is it actually makes our site smaller, right? So Google gives every site sort of a crawl budget based on their authority, right? And so a crawl budget basically dictates how many pages they're willing to crawl from your site and how often. And so the key to ranking higher is to get crawled more often. And so therefore, you want to maximize the crawl budget you've been given, while also, of course, building authority to try to improve your crawl budget over time, right? And so when we can get rid of low quality content, we're no longer wasting crawls and crawl budget on that content. Instead, all those crawls will instead go to pages that are higher value and better optimized that have a real chance of ranking, right? Because even if Google crawls a page a lot, if it's a bad quality page, they're not going to rank it, okay? And so getting rid of that stuff helps your good content to perform better. It also ensures that as you create good content in the future, you develop new content, it will get picked up much faster and rank much faster. All right, next thing we did was develop some category pages. So a product category page is basically a page with a number of products on it. It's like a page for a certain category. So our client site initially relied on a single broad shop all type of page for all their products, which are RSO products. And this does not align with how people use Google, right? They're not going to look for, all RSO products or RSO products. They're looking for a specific type of RSO product most of the time. So instead of having a single page, we broke that page into multiple targeted categories. So people are looking up RSO syringes, looking up RSO gummies, RSO tinctures. So we built a specific page with just the syringes or just the gummies, just the tinctures, and that way we were able to more effectively rank for those keywords and get more revenue, right? Again, you want to build your site according to how people search, not how you think it makes sense. It may make sense for us to say, okay, here's the page for the products. All the products go on that page. But people, they want a page specifically for the product they're searching for. And that's what we did here by breaking it up in that manner. Every page was built around a specific topic, allowing our client to compete across a wider range of high intent searches, right? So now we're no longer just competing for RSO products with the shop all page. We're able to compete for RSO gummies, syringes, basically every RSO category that matters. We have a horse in that race. People and search engines always favor pages that closely match the intent. They'll always serve a specific page over a broad general page if it exists. And so we're able to improve our clients' relevance to the kind of the query landscape and also their site's coverage of the buyer journey, which ultimately led to stronger visibility, more clicks, higher conversion rates, and more sales. Okay, next thing we did was wrote some blog posts, developed some blog content. So blog content is one of those things, it's kind of a lightning rod, right? And I have a lot of opinions about it. It plays a necessary role in medical cannabis SEO, but people oftentimes misuse it, okay? They'll publish a lot of informational content, right, which will increase traffic because there's a lot of questions people have about medical cannabis and about cannabis in general, right? The issue is that people who are looking those things up are just trying to learn. They're not trying to buy. And so most of that traffic is not going to convert unless it connects to the decision-making stage of the buying process, and not all of it does. In fact, most of it does not. Okay, so instead, what happens is, brands write, say, 40 blog posts, and it becomes a cash pit because they have to maintain it. Content that is old and out of date, like as we learned before, is not a neutral thing, right? It actually saps your crawl budget. It actively ruins your crawl budget, right? And prevents better pages from ranking higher. And so then brands are stuck updating this content again and again, even though it's not driving any revenue. And so that's not a good thing at all. So obviously in the beginning, we cleared out all their content, but then when it came to creating new content, we didn't just publish a bunch of informational sludge. Instead, we wrote about bottom of funnel topics that appeal to specific stages of our clients' ICP's buying process. And so we focused on 4 types of content tied to some ICP moments that we discussed before. First one was some extract comparisons like RSO versus FSO. We did listicles, a list article like best RSO syringes, brand comparisons like Truly versus Move, and kind of insert ourselves in there as the third option. And then also educational articles, a few articles here. For example, does RSO get you high? And so again, I just spent a minute trashing educational content. It still does have a place, on your site, but only as a very small part of the mix. And it's to build authority, not as the main traffic or even revenue driver that you're looking at. It's just a kind of a supporting part as you also publish more commercially focused types of blog posts. And yeah, we did between 2 and 6 articles a month. We also kept them up to date. So we've been updating them every single month, as well as adding some new ones in. And yeah, this ultimately has helped to reinforce their category page performance because we're covering the topic more completely. So we build topical authority for the site. And the site now is seen as more of an authority on RSO. And so any RSO related page we have, including our bottom of funnel transactional money maker category pages, are going to rank better. And yeah, ultimately, when you do it this way, blog content supports revenue growth. But if you treat it as like a standalone strategy for getting traffic and you kind of go after the highest volume keywords as a way to if we can get enough traffic, some will return to sales, it will be a big waste of time and money. So don't do that. All right. So the next component of our strategy was building out some location pages. Now, local intent is one of the most underutilized opportunities in cannabis e-commerce SEO, especially in the RSO category, which is where our client is. And the reason why it's ignored is because people are looking up things near them, but you're selling online. And so a lot of brands think that they can't really compete for that in those SERPs, in those search engine result page, like for those keywords. And it's not true at all. Most brands either ignore local keywords entirely or they rely on templated pages with little relevant content for each location. And it fails because, number one, Google prioritizes businesses that clearly serve the user's location, right? So either you're a local business or you have content that's really specific to that location. Also, people want specific buying information for their area, right? Which is why, again, if you can provide that information, you can get some sales, even if you're not actually a brick and mortar store. And so, RSO near me is a very high intent keyword. It's the same sort of, level of buying intent as buy RSO online, right? And so people who are looking for that keyword, they want to buy RSO. Typically speaking, again, it's a local intent. And so, this query is captured by dispensaries and CBD shops that have built content or have products that or they have RSO products where they built content that's related to that. But we wanted it for ourselves. So to compete, we built location pages that combined local relevance with e-commerce functionality. These included shoppable product grids. So we should, products on the pages that you could go ahead and add to your cart and buy right then and there. We included localized content reflecting the regional search behavior. So we covered, legality, where to buy it near you if you don't want to buy it from us. I guess kind of some content about sort of the cannabis culture or the cannabis landscape in that certain city, right? So localized content that's locally relevant. Also, we include where to buy content, as I mentioned before, to compete with the dispensary listings, right? So people are looking up, RSO near me, Google's serving dispensaries. So if we can talk about dispensaries on our page that are nearby, they'll say, okay, well, we're in the area too, even if we're actually an e-commerce store. So it's kind of a way to provide more value and to compete with those dispensaries. And then also we added FAQ sections to support long tail keyword visibility. And yeah, we scaled this process across 80 cities and states. So we did some states and some cities, kind of looking at the key markets for medical cannabis. And this allowed our client to capture high intent local searches that would otherwise convert through competitors and through dispensaries. So we were able to kind of hijack the local search funnel for cannabis. All right. So that's all the content stuff. That's kind of the key actions we took when it came to building out our clients' content to fit that buyer journey, right? Shopping online, shopping near them, comparing brands, comparing extracts, comparing products in the space like best RSO syringes, looking for the best products in the space. So now that we covered everything, our next step was to go ahead and build their authority through link building and parasite SEO. So ultimately, content determines which topics your site can rank for. So, okay, if we have a page for that topic, we can rank for it. There is a possibility of us ranking for it, right? Authority determines how high we'll rank for these topics. So, okay, great, you have a page, but if you're not a very authoritative source, they're going to rank someone else's page that's identical to yours, but they have more authority, so they're going to rank above you, right? So we got to get more authority, and we got to have relevant content. We built the authority for our client through a combination of consistent link building and also parasite SEO placements. And a parasite SEO placement is basically where you write an article that's optimized for an important keyword, and then you publish it on a third-party website with high authority. What that does is it gives you a backlink, but also that article will rank for that keyword. And if you're being recommended, you'll basically get like a really glowing referral or recommendation, which can drive sales directly. Also, it has the benefit of there will be content in there that mentions your brand in relation to the product category. So, for example, if we have an article about best RSO syringes, and we have a brand called Wells's Awesome RSO, just use my name as an example, Wells's Awesome RSO, then, okay, if Google sees that Wells's Awesome RSO is in that article, number one, they'll associate that with RSO. So when someone looks up RSO, they'll know, okay, well, one option to consider is Wells's Awesome RSO because we were mentioned in that article, right? That's why it's so critical and such a powerful technique. So yeah, that's kind of what we did. We focused on steady growth and not volume spikes. One thing here is that it's technically against Google's guidelines to pay for backlinks. And so, and obviously brands do it all the time. That's what we do. It's the most reliable way to get backlinks. But the key is to spread it out. So do it consistently, do like 4 to 6 a month, or, I mean, the number can vary, but you want to keep the cadence kind of spread out. You don't want to do like, a batch of 20 links and then don't build a link for 3 months and then do another batch of 20 links. It's not good for your site's authenticity profile, we could say. And we point most links to the homepage with some additional links to support key category as well as blog posts. Key pages we're trying to push up the results or where the competitors had some links, and so we want to kind of outdo them a little bit. I already kind of covered parasite SEO, but this kind of walks through our strategy and sort of how we go about doing this. And also, if you can rank, say, 2 parasite articles and your own page for a certain query, then your brand's appearing 3 times. And in addition to all the SEO benefits, all the links and the association between your brand name and that category and the brand mentions, all those things, right? Apart from that, it builds a lot of trust on a human level. Okay, if someone sees you again and again and again, like, okay, everyone's talking about these guys. We got to check them out because they are the absolute best in the space. And so, very, very powerful technique. And it's kind of everything. Over a 10-month period, we grew our clients' organic revenue or revenue from organic search from approximately $8,000 per month to over $40,000 per month. And we drove that growth by building a complete SEO funnel that captured demand across multiple ICP moments rather than relying on a single page type or query. That's a typo right there, or query. By aligning page types with user intent, right, the search intent, we built a site for our client that's able to drive traffic at different stages of the funnel and the buying process and guide potential customers towards becoming actual customers. And the result is our client now has a stable and scalable acquisition channel. So that's everything. SEO in the medical cannabis space doesn't break down because your brand's not doing enough work, right? The answer is not more activity. It's to engage in more carefully guided activity. So, SEO fails when your strategy is not aligned to how your potential customers search and make buying decisions. When you build around those behaviors, SEO becomes a reliable driver of revenue. And honestly, your brand's SEO success becomes an inevitability. So, if you have a cannabis or hemp brand and want results just like this, book a call with me using the link in the description down below. We can get a quick call and talk through how I can help your brand make more money online. All right. Either way, I hope this helped, and that's everything I have. Thanks for watching. Bye.